This isn't a guide on how to quit your job. It's a roadmap to building your bridge to financial freedom, a path that lets you walk away from your 9 to 5 and step into wealth. Stick around until the end, soak up the wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn, and discover why it all comes down to you. Just you. Chapter 1. The Source versus the Channel. Why you'll never get rich believing your boss is your security. If you want to ditch your job and get rich, here's the first and most crucial lesson you need to learn. Your job is not your source of income. Say it with me, my job is not my source. This is the single most limiting belief that keeps 99% of people trapped in a life of financial mediocrity. They think their money comes from their boss, their company, or the government. They see these as the source of their livelihood, and, by extension, their security. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that this is a fatal mistake. Your job, your boss, your clients, they're just channels, temporary conduits through which your true and only source flows. And what is that source? It's God. It's infinite intelligence, universal substance, the divine mind. It's the sole origin of all the wealth that exists. When you mistake the channel for the source, you surrender all your power. You become a slave to fear. Fear of getting fired, fear of the company going under, fear of upsetting your boss. You shrink yourself, settle for less than you deserve, and live in a constant state of anxiety because your source is shaky, unpredictable, and finite. You'll never get truly rich with this mindset, because wealth demands a consciousness of security and expansion, not fear and limitation. True security doesn't lie in a job, but in knowing that the universal source is inexhaustible and has infinite channels to provide for you. If one channel dries up, like getting laid off, the source, in response to your faith, instantly opens another, often bigger and better. Your loyalty shouldn't be to the channel but to the source. The Bible illustrates this truth vividly in the story of the prophet Elijah and the widow of Zarephath in 1 Kings 17. God tells Elijah, who was being fed by ravens near a stream, "Get up and go to Zarephath. I have commanded a widow there to provide for you." The stream, his current channel of provision, dried up. If Elijah believed the stream was his source, he'd have panicked. But he knew his source was God. He obeyed, went to Zarephath, and a new channel, a poor widow, was activated. Later, when the widow's son dies, she, in her despair, accuses Elijah, mistaking the channel, the prophet, for the source of life and death. Elijah doesn't argue. He turns straight to the source, prays to God, and life is restored. Throughout the story, the lesson is clear. Channels may change, dry up, or seem illogical, but the source is constant and will always provide a new path. Your first step toward financial freedom is to make this radical shift in your mind. Start seeing your paycheck not as payment from your boss but as one of the channels God is using to bless you right now. When you get paid, instead of thinking, "Thanks, Company X," think and feel, "Thank you, God, for this channel of provision. I'm grateful, but I know my source is infinite and has countless other channels to bless me." This shift starts to break the chains of fear. Have you ever stopped to think about how many different channels money has already come to you through in your life? Gifts, unexpected help, random opportunities? Drop a few examples in the comments to start training your mind to see beyond your job. If this first lesson is already shifting your perspective, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. Starting in Chapter 2, we'll dive into more teachings to help you connect with the true source of wealth. Chapter 2. The great work begins now. How to turn your current job into a training ground for wealth. Now that you understand your job is just a channel, not the source, you might be tempted to hate it, resent it, and want to bolt as fast as possible. But that would be a huge mistake. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that you can't attract the next level of success by despising the step you're on now. Doing so sends out a vibe of ingratitude and resistance, which only keeps you stuck where you are. The secret to moving forward is a radical shift in perspective. Stop seeing your job as a prison and start seeing it as your training ground for wealth. Right here, in this very moment, is where you begin practicing the laws of prosperity. It's your gym for strengthening the muscles of your mind, faith, and action before you launch into your own journey. Your great work, as Nehemiah would call it, doesn't start the day you quit. It starts now, at your desk, in your current role. How do you turn your job into a training ground? First, practice impeccable excellence. Florence would say, do your work perfectly, and you'll soon be doing work you love perfectly. Give your all, not to impress your boss, but as an act of worship to the source. See every task, no matter how mundane, as a chance to express perfection, creativity, and integrity. By doing this, you're aligning with the energy of success. You're telling the universe, I'm a professional who excels, ready for bigger challenges. The law of attraction doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your current vibration. If you radiate laziness and resentment at work, you'll attract more reasons to feel lazy and resentful. But if you radiate excellence and enthusiasm, you'll pull in opportunities that match that vibe. Second, use your job to practice the law of circulation. Be generous with your colleagues. Share your knowledge, offer help, and bring positive energy to the workplace. Celebrate your co-workers' successes instead of envying them. When you pay for lunch or your commute, bless the money going out. When you receive your paycheck, bless it with gratitude, recognizing it as one of the source's channels. Third, practice the law of forgiveness. Forgive your boss for that unfair critique. Forgive your co-worker for that gossip. Releasing these daily grudges keeps your energy field clear and open to abundance. The Bible gives us a powerful example in David's life. Before he was king, he was a humble shepherd. He didn't scoff at his lowly job. Instead, it was there, in the fields, that he honed his courage and faith, protecting his sheep from a lion and a bear. He was faithful in the small things. That faithfulness and excellence in a lesser task prepared him to slay Goliath and, eventually, lead a nation. His pasture was his training ground. Your current job is your pasture. It's where you're being prepped for your giants and your kingdom. You can't skip this phase. You need to squeeze every lesson out of it. What's the key skill or virtue? Patience, discipline, leadership your job is forcing you to develop right now. Think of it as part of your divine training and share it in the comments. Recognizing the lesson is the first step to mastering it. If you're ready to transform how you see your work, drop a like to lock in this new mindset. And if you haven't already, subscribe to keep getting strategies to turn every area of your life into a stepping stone to success. Chapter 3, The Vision of the Promised Land, Abraham's Secret to Leaving the Right in Pursuit of the Divine. You're turning your job into a training ground, staying faithful in the small things. But what's the point of all this training if you don't know where you're headed? Nobody trains for a marathon without picturing the finish line. To leave the safe behind, your steady job, your predictable routine, you need to be magnetically drawn to something far greater, the divine. And the divine is your clear vision of your promised land. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that imagination is the scissors of the mind. It's the tool you use to cut the exact picture of the life you want from the universal fabric. Without a vivid image, your subconscious has no blueprint to follow. It gets confused and, by default, keeps building the same old reality. Your vision isn't some vague dream of being rich. It's a detailed, sensory, emotional picture of your life in freedom. What will you do when you no longer need a job? How will your mornings feel? Where will you live? What kind of work or project will fill your days? What impact will you make on the world? Close your eyes and see this reality. Feel the sun on your face on a Tuesday morning while others are stuck in traffic. Feel the joy of working on a project that lights you up on your own schedule. Feel the peace of checking your bank account and seeing abundance, not scarcity. Florence called this building your prototype. You need to craft this image with so much detail and emotion that it feels more real than your current situation. This image, your promised land, will give you the courage and drive to keep training and, eventually, make the leap. Without it, the fear of the unknown will always win. The Bible gives us the perfect archetype in Abraham, the father of faith. In Genesis 12, God gives him a radical command: leave your country, your people, and your father's household and go to the land I will show you. Abraham was in Haran, a prosperous city. He had a safe, secure, established life. The order was to abandon everything familiar for a promise, a vision. And what was that vision? I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great. God didn't hand him a detailed map. He gave him a vision of the end result. It was the power of that vision, becoming the father of a great nation, that gave Abraham the faith to pack up his tents and step into the unknown. He didn't focus on what he was losing, Haran's security, but on what he was gaining, the divine promise. He lived with his eyes fixed on his promised land. Your task now is the most exciting one. Dream. But dream with purpose. Set aside time today, no distractions. Close your eyes and let yourself visualize your ideal life after your job. Don't hold back. Don't worry about the how. Just focus on the what. Create a mental or physical vision board. Gather images, words, and feelings that represent this new life. This board isn't for the universe. The universe already knows. It's for you. It's to program your subconscious and keep you inspired on tough days. If you could describe your promised land in one sentence, what would it be? Example: living with creative freedom by the ocean. Drop your sentence in the comments to make it more real and inspire others to dream big too. If this chapter helped you clarify your vision, hit that like button to spread this knowledge to more people who are ready to dream bigger. Chapter 4. Cast the net on the other side. The divine intuition that leads to miraculous catches of fish and new sources of income. You're in your training ground, eyes locked on your promised land. But how exactly do you get there? What's the vehicle that will carry you from your current job to your life of freedom? The answer isn't in your logical mind. Logic only knows the paths already traveled. The answer lies in your intuition, your divine guidance. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that intuition is God's celestial radio. It's the direct channel through which infinite intelligence sends you ideas, impulses, and directions to lead you to your oceans of abundance. While you're still at your job, your main task, beyond being excellent, is to learn how to tune into this radio. You need to train your ear to distinguish the calm, clear voice of intuition from the loud, anxious noise of your ego and fear. The ideas for your new business, investments, or income streams won't come from exhaustive market analysis. They'll come as a flash, a sudden impulse, an idea that seems to come out of nowhere. These intuitive ideas often feel illogical or too simple. They might be a nudge to call an old friend, read a random book, start a small hobby, or offer a service you never thought to monetize. Your ego will dismiss them instantly. That won't lead anywhere. You don't have time for this. That's silly. But it's precisely in these silly ideas that your miraculous catch is hiding. Florence tells the story of a man desperate for a new income source. He asked for guidance, and the idea that came was, make jam. He was a businessman, and the idea seemed absurd. But he obeyed. He started making jams at home and selling them. The business grew so much that he quit his job and got rich selling jam. His intuition didn't hand him a full business plan, it gave him the first step. His obedience to that step revealed the next ones. The Bible gives us a perfect illustration in the story of the miraculous catch in Luke 5. Peter and his fellow professional fishermen had toiled all night and caught nothing. They were exhausted, frustrated, and cleaning their empty nets. Their logic, backed by years of experience, said there were no fish to be found. Then Jesus, a carpenter, steps into Peter's boat and, after teaching the crowd, gives a simple, illogical instruction: put out into deep water and let down your nets for a catch. Imagine the resistance in Peter's ego. A carpenter telling him how to fish, after a whole night of failure? But in a life-changing act of faith, Peter responds, "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." He chose to obey the divine instruction over his failed experience. The result: they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. They caught so much they needed other boats to help. Your miraculous catch, the income source that will let you leave your job, is on the other side of your logic, your experience, your exhaustion. It lies in your obedience to an intuitive nudge. Your task is to start paying attention. Before bed, ask for guidance. Infinite intelligence, reveal the path to my perfect income source. Show me how I can serve and be abundantly rewarded. Then, during the day, stay alert to impulses, ideas, or coincidences. Write them down, no matter how small they seem. What's the last different idea or hobby that excited you but you dismissed as going nowhere? Maybe it's time to revisit it. Share it in the comments. And if you want to learn how to better tune into your celestial radio, make sure you're subscribed, because we'll keep exploring how to turn those signals into real wealth. Chapter 5: Burning the Plowshares, Elisha's Act of Faith and the Decision to Never Look Back. You've got your promised land in sight, and you're learning to tune into the intuition showing you new streams of income. You're fishing from the other side of the boat. But there will come a moment in your journey when faith demands more than just casting a net. It will require you to burn the boat. There will be a point when you need to make an irreversible decision, an act of faith so powerful it cuts off any possibility of retreat. This is the act of burning the plow. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that wavering faith produces no results. You can't serve two masters, fear of scarcity and faith in abundance. You can't build your new life of freedom while keeping the back door open to run back to the safety of your captivity at the first sign of trouble. The universe responds to committed faith. The decision to never look back is what magnetizes your success and forces manifestation. This act of burning the plow can be symbolic or literal. For some, it might mean investing a significant chunk of money into a new venture. For others, it could be turning down a promotion at your current job that would tie you down even more. It might be publicly announcing your new direction, making it hard to backtrack. It's any action that shows yourself and infinite intelligence that you're all in, fully committed to your new life. It's a move that silences doubt by eliminating the option of giving up. Florence tells the story of a woman who wanted to be an artist but was terrified to quit her teaching job. She was paralyzed. Florence told her to perform a small act of burning the plow, buy an expensive, high-quality painter's smock. It was a symbolic but powerful gesture. When she wore that smock, she felt like an artist. She was investing in her new identity. That small act of faith gave her the courage to eventually make the full transition. The Bible gives us the most dramatic and inspiring example of this principle in the story of Elisha's calling in 1 Kings 19. Elisha was a prosperous farmer, plowing his fields with 12 yoke of oxen, a sign of significant wealth for the time. He had a secure, established life. The prophet Elijah approaches, throws his cloak over Elisha, a symbolic act of calling and transferring authority, and keeps walking. Elisha's response is what matters. He runs after Elijah, asking to say goodbye to his parents. Then he does something radical. He returns, slaughters his oxen, and uses the wood from his plow to cook the meat, which he shares with the people. Think about the weight of this act. He didn't just abandon his business, he destroyed the tools of his old trade. He liquidated his main asset, the oxen, and burned the instrument that represented his old life and security, the plow. He made it impossible to return to farming. He was 100% committed to his new calling. There was no plan B. Your transition to wealth and freedom will, at some point, require your own act of burning the plow. You don't have to do it today, but you need to be ready for when your intuition guides you. Start thinking, what's your plow? What's the bridge or escape route to your old life that you might need to burn to fully commit to the new one? It could be a habit, a relationship holding you back, or even the mindset that, if everything goes wrong, I can always go back to some job. Share in the comments what plow you feel might be keeping you from moving forward. Recognizing it is the first step to overcoming it. And if you're loving this journey of transformation and want to keep getting content that challenges you to grow, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Your subscription is a small act of commitment to your own growth. Chapter 6: Building the Ark Before the Rain, Material and Spiritual Preparation for Your Financial Transition. You've got a clear vision, you're tuning into your intuition, and you're mentally ready to burn the plow. But faith, as Florence Scovel Shinn taught, isn't a blind leap into the abyss. It's a calculated step onto a bridge you've helped build. Before the rain of your transition begins, before you actually quit your job, you need to build your ark. This ark is the material and spiritual preparation that ensures your journey to financial freedom is safe and successful. Trying to leave your job without this preparation is like setting sail in a leaky canoe during a flood. Faith takes action, but faith also plans. Building your ark requires two kinds of materials: the spiritual ones we've been discussing and the material ones, which are just as critical. Material preparation is your faith demonstrated in the physical world. The first and most vital material is a financial reserve. Florence wasn't against prudence, she was against fear. Having an emergency fund isn't a sign of doubt, it's an act of wisdom. It's your provision in the ark. It gives you the peace of mind to make decisions from inspiration, not desperation, during the early months of your new journey. Start building this reserve now, no matter how small the monthly amount. Every dollar saved is a brick in your ark. The second material is education. While you're still at your job, use your free time to become an expert in your new field. Read books, take courses, find mentors. Preparation precedes success. The third material is validating your new income source. Start your miraculous catch as a side hustle. Test your ideas, land your first clients, generate your first extra income, even if it's small. Seeing money flow through a new channel is the most powerful proof that your transition is viable. The Bible gives us the ultimate example of preparation in the story of Noah in Genesis 6. God tells Noah about the coming flood and gives him detailed instructions to build an ark, specific measurements, materials, and compartments. And what does Noah do? He obeys. He starts building a massive ark on dry land under a clear blue sky. Imagine the mockery from his neighbors. He looked like a madman, preparing for a rain no one else could see. He didn't wait for the first drops to fall before starting. He acted on divine instruction, his intuition. His faith wasn't just believing in the rain, it was the practical, grueling work of sawing, hammering, and sealing wood day after day. Building the ark was his faith in action. And that preparation saved him and his family. Your rain is your opportunity to transition. Your ark is your preparation. You can't wait for the perfect opportunity to start preparing. You need to start building your ark now, while the sky is clear and you still have the security of your job. Begin gathering the materials. What's the first material you'll start collecting for your ark? Will it be the financial reserve, education, or validating your business idea? Pick one and set a small goal for this week. Share your goal in the comments to make a public commitment. And if you want more tips on building a solid ark, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Each video is a new brick of knowledge for your construction. Hitting the like button also helps us share this building manual with more people dreaming of sailing to freedom. Chapter 7: The Fear of the Leap. Neutralizing the voice that screams, "What if it doesn't work?" Your ark is under construction. Your vision is crystal clear. New streams of income are starting to form. And then, it shows up, the final gatekeeper of your old life, the oldest and most powerful enemy: fear. Specifically, the fear of the leap. It creeps into your mind with a simple but paralyzing question: what if it doesn't work out? This question is the favorite weapon of the alien army, the voice of doubt we've talked about. It paints catastrophic scenarios: you failing, losing your savings, becoming a laughingstock, or slinking back to an even worse job, humiliated. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that fear is the only thing that can neutralize faith. Fear is, in fact, faith in reverse. Faith in failure instead of faith in success. It's using your powerful imagination to conjure images of defeat instead of victory. Overcoming this voice isn't optional. It's the final battle you must win to claim your freedom. The first technique to neutralize fear is to challenge it with the logic of faith. When that voice asks, "What if it doesn't work out?" you must immediately counter with a power question: "What if it does work out?" Don't stop there. Dive into it. What if it works out spectacularly? What if I earn double what I used to? What if I inspire my family and friends? What if I finally live my purpose with joy and freedom? Flood your mind with vivid, detailed images of success. Fear thrives in the darkness of negative imagination. The light of positive imagination makes it retreat. Florence would tell you to meet the lion in your path. The lion of fear seems real and menacing, but when you walk toward it with faith, you discover it's just a shadow, an illusion with no substance. The second technique is the neutralizing affirmation. Fear is a vibration. Faith is another. You can't feel both at the same time. You have to choose which one will dominate your being. Create a short, powerful affirmation to use as an instant antidote whenever fear arises. It could be something like, "There is no failure in the divine plan. What God has done for others, He now does for me, and more." Or Florence's classic, "I cast this burden of fear on the Christ within and go free to succeed." Say this affirmation out loud, with feeling and authority. Feel the vibration of fear dissolve and be replaced by the vibration of confidence. The spoken word, backed by faith, has the power to shift your internal chemistry and recalibrate your energy field. The Bible is full of stories about the fear of the leap. One of the most powerful is Peter walking on water in Matthew 14. Seeing Jesus walk on the sea, Peter, in a surge of faith, says, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water." Jesus responds with a single word, "Come." Peter steps out of the boat, his secure job, and starts walking on the water, his new, miraculous reality. He's doing the impossible. But then what happens? When he saw the wind, he was afraid and, beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." The moment he took his eyes off the source, Jesus, and focused on the adverse circumstances, the wind, the waves, fear took over, and he started to sink. The lesson is clear. Your success depends on where you place your focus. Will you fixate on the wind of the economy or the waves of other people's opinions? Or will you keep your eyes locked on your source and your vision? What's the wind that scares you the most right now? Name it and share it in the comments. Bringing it into the light is the first step to conquering it. And if you need more strategies to overcome fear, hit that like button and subscribe to catch the next chapters. Chapter 8: Provision in the Wilderness. How the Israelites were sustained daily after leaving Egypt, their secure employment. You've conquered the fear of the leap. You're building your ark and preparing for the crossing. But a new, subtler worry might creep in, less dramatic than catastrophic fear, anxiety about the steady flow. Okay, I might have enough to start, but how will I sustain myself long term? How can I be sure the money will keep coming, month after month? This is the fixed salary mindset trying to reassert itself. You're used to a predictable flow and crave guarantees. But life in faith operates on a different principle, the principle of daily provision. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that infinite intelligence knows only the now. The supply is always available in the present moment. Your anxiety about the future blocks the flow available to you today. Your task during the transition, your desert between Egypt, your job, and the promised land, your full financial freedom, is to learn to trust in daily sustenance. This desert is a testing and training ground for your faith. It's where you learn to live one day at a time, trusting that the provision for that day will show up. It might not come as a big contract, but perhaps as a small freelance gig that covers the week's bills. It might not be a huge sale, but a client who refers another. Florence would tell you to bless and give thanks for every small provision, seeing it as proof of the source's constant care. Your gratitude for today's bread ensures tomorrow's bread. Hoarding or worrying about next month's supply is an act of doubt. It's telling the universe, "I don't trust you'll be there for me tomorrow." And the universe, which operates by faith, responds to that doubt by withholding the flow. Peace and prosperity in the desert come from the certainty that, just as you were provided for today, you'll be provided for tomorrow. The Bible offers the perfect metaphor for this period in the journey of the Israelites in Exodus 16. After leaving the slavery of Egypt, their secure job, that, though oppressive, guaranteed food, they find themselves in the desert. They panic and complain to Moses, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt, where we sat by pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. You've brought us into this desert to starve us all to death." They missed the security of slavery. So God institutes the miracle of manna. Every morning, a mysterious food appeared on the ground. The instruction was clear: each person should gather only enough for that day. If they tried to hoard it for the next day, the manna would rot and breed worms. The only exception was the day before the Sabbath. For 40 years, they were forced to live by faith in daily provision. They woke each morning trusting the supply would be there, and it always was. Your transition period is your manna dessert. Your task isn't to worry about filling the storehouse for the whole year, but to gather today's manna with gratitude. What's the manna that showed up in your life today? It could be an idea, a small sum of money, a word of encouragement, a new connection. Recognize it and give thanks for it. Share in the comments the manna you received this week, no matter how small it seems. Let's create a wall of gratitude for daily provision. And if you want to strengthen your faith to live one day at a time, hit that like button and subscribe. Each video is a reminder that the source never fails, and your sustenance is guaranteed, today and always. Chapter 9. The Sign to Cross the Jordan. Recognizing the divine moment to quit your job. You've trained in your job, built your vision, listened to your intuition, constructed your ark, conquered fear, and learned to trust in daily provision. You're standing on the banks of the Jordan River. On the other side lies your promised land, a life of freedom and wealth. Behind you is the desert you've trekked through. Now comes the final, most critical question of all. When? When is the right time to quit your job? How do you know if it's God's will or just your own impatience? Recognizing the divine signal to cross the Jordan is the ultimate art of faith and alignment. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that divine timing is always perfect. Acting too soon, driven by ego, can lead to failure. Acting too late, held back by fear, can cause you to miss the tide of opportunity. The signal is rarely a bolt of lightning from the sky. It's a convergence of internal and external factors, a peace that surpasses all understanding that confirms the time has come. The first indicator of the signal is unshakable inner peace. You'll think about quitting your job, and instead of the anxiety and panic you once felt, you'll experience a deep calm, a quiet certainty. Fear might linger as background noise, but it no longer has power over you. Your intuition's voice will be clear, steady, and calm, saying, "Now is the time." Florence called this having the conviction. It's an inner knowing that doesn't need external validation. You just know it's right. The second indicator is sustainable external evidence. Remember, faith takes action, but it's not foolish. The divine signal is usually accompanied by proof in the physical world. Your miraculous catch, your side hustle, has started generating consistent income. It might not yet match your salary, but you can see a clear path to surpassing it. You've built your ark, your financial reserve, to a point where it can sustain you for several months, removing desperation from the equation. New doors and opportunities start opening in your new field, while the doors at your old job seem to close or lose their shine. The universe begins gently pushing you out of the nest. The Bible gives us the perfect image for this moment in Joshua 3. The Israelites are camped on the banks of the Jordan River, which is overflowing, dangerous, and in full flood. The promised land is right there, visible but seemingly unreachable. They wait for 3 days. Then the divine instruction comes. The signal isn't the river calming down. The signal is a call to action rooted in faith. The priests, carrying the Ark of the Covenant, the symbol of God's presence, are to walk toward the river. The miracle only happens the moment the soles of the priests' feet rest in the waters of the Jordan. Only when they take the step of faith into the dangerous waters do the waters part. They didn't wait for the path to become safe before walking. The act of walking in faith made the path safe. Your signal might not be your side hustle already being a runaway success. It might be the combination of inner peace and external evidence that, if you take the step of faith now, the waters will part. It's the moment when your trust in the source becomes greater than your need for the security of the channel. Looking at your life now, have you ever felt this blend of inner peace and external signs guiding you toward a big decision? What was that experience like? Share it in the comments to encourage others waiting for their own signal. And if you're at this crucial stage of your journey, drop a like to declare your readiness to recognize and act on your divine moment. Subscribing to the channel ensures you'll keep getting guidance even after you've crossed your Jordan. Chapter 10: Life in the Land of Abundance. How to manage multiple wealth channels and live in complete freedom. You've crossed your Jordan. You've left behind the security of Egypt, survived the desert, and now you're here, in your promised land. The life of freedom, purpose, and abundance that was once just a vision is now your reality. But the journey doesn't end here. A new kind of mastery begins. Living in the land of abundance isn't about retiring and doing nothing. It's about learning to manage multiple streams of wealth and living in a state of full, responsible freedom. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that divine abundance isn't a one-time event but a continuous flow that must be managed with wisdom, gratitude, and generosity. Now that you're no longer tied to a single channel, a job, but have multiple, your business, investments, creative ideas, your task is to become a wise steward of this new reality. The first principle of life in abundance is diversification with detachment. You haven't traded dependence on a boss for dependence on a single business. You've connected to the source, and the source expresses itself through multiple streams. Keep listening to your intuition. It might guide you to start a new investment, write a book, or give a talk. Let the source surprise you with new channels. Most importantly, don't cling to any of them. If a business starts to decline, don't panic. Bless it for what it provided and ask your intuition, what's the next channel wanting to express through me? You're now a divine portfolio manager, always open to new assets and detached from the old ones. The second principle is conscious circulation. Now that you have more, you must give more. The law of circulation becomes even more critical. Your wealth isn't meant to be hoarded but to flow through you. Become a joyful, generous giver. Support causes, bless others, invest in people's dreams. Florence would say, giving opens the way for more receiving. By becoming a channel of blessings for others, you ensure the flow through you never stops. Your generosity is your insurance policy against stagnation. The Bible paints a vivid picture of life in the Promised Land in Deuteronomy 8. After describing the desert journey, Moses depicts the land they're entering. A land with brooks, streams, and deep springs gushing out from the valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, vines and fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil and honey, a land where bread will not be scarce and you will lack nothing. This is the image of diversified abundance. Multiple crops, multiple sources of sustenance. But then comes the warning, be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God. Otherwise, when you eat and are satisfied, when you build fine houses and settle down, your heart will become proud, and you will forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. The lesson is clear. The greatest danger in the land of abundance is forgetfulness. It's forgetting the source and starting to believe your own strength created it all. Continuous gratitude and acknowledgement of the source are the key to staying in the promised land. Your journey has brought you home. You've learned the laws, overcome fears, and manifested your freedom. Your task now is to live as a citizen of the kingdom of abundance, to be a living example of what's possible when you align mind, faith, and action with divine truth. What's the first thing you'll do, or the first place you'll go when you achieve full financial freedom? Share that final vision in the comments to anchor it in your reality. Thank you for walking this journey with us. If this video was your Jordan crossing, the best way to celebrate is to subscribe to the channel and share this roadmap with everyone you know who still feels trapped. May your life be a continuous testament to the power, wisdom, and infinite abundance of the source. Until the next video.